All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our part-time admission and financial aid presentation. My name is Bill Smith. I am the Director of Enrollment Operations and Graduate Admissions here at Elmhurst University. I've been with the university in a professional manner for just over 12 years and double alums. So I completed my undergraduate way back in the aughts there, my MBA not too long ago there. And I'm joined today by Carrie Ostergaard, who is also a double alum and our senior graduate admission counselor. Hi, Carrie.
Hello, everyone. Happy to be here. Happy to see everyone virtually and can't wait to get started.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. So I do want to let you know that Elmhurst University has a number of different graduate programs, business, education, healthcare, and technology. So I know a number of you are here for the IO program, MBA program. We also have project management, supply chain management, and executive coaching under business. And we also have many healthcare programs as well too. Our master's entry in nursing practice, communication science disorders, OT, public health, and even a doctor of nursing practice program. In addition to that, we have a computer information technology program and a data science program and a number of different endorsements and degrees for our educational students. Um, just to point out here, every single one of our programs has a dedicated program director that will be with you every step of the way throughout your time in the program. And they will really get to know you. So you can see some of their names up here on the screen here. All right, let's get into the nitty gritty here.
Yeah, for
All
sure.
right, Carrie, do you want to talk a little bit about the admission process and how that works?
Yeah. We have a mixture of students who have already applied, but I know that there are some folks who are still looking to file their applications. And my piece of advice there is just the earlier that you can start, the better. Different programs have different preferred, deadlines as far as applications are concerned. But general rule of thumb is the earlier that you can apply and get admitted, the more time that you are giving yourself to, secure financial aid, things that we're going to talk about here in the remainder of this presentation. If you need to find housing, if you need to get a job, just the more time you're giving yourself to complete all of those different tasks. So first things first for admission, the first step is going to be to complete and submit our free application for admission online at elmhurst.edu/apply. If you happen to be on our website, you can always find that application by clicking on the apply button in the upper right-hand corner, and it is always free. The application itself probably takes about 5 to 10 minutes to complete. And then once you submit it, you are going to then be tasked with submitting your official application materials. There are a few different things that we ask for as far as admission and academic and supplemental materials. The first thing that we ask for is going to be official transcripts from all previous colleges and universities that you have attended. This includes if you have transfer coursework from somewhere and the institution that you may have graduated from or are going to be graduating from. And we do ask for official records. So that means that these have to be sent directly from the institutions to Elmhurst University. They cannot go through a third party, which does include, the applicant themselves, just because we want them to be coming directly from the original institutions. And you typically can go to your institution, order that transcript, and then our email address that we receive transcripts at is transcripts4eu@elmhurst.edu. The next thing that we ask for is going to be our 1,000 word statement of purpose, and we say around 1,000 words. Kind of like with deadlines and preferred deadlines, different programs have different prompts and questions for the statement of purpose. For instance, the MBA program has a few specific prompts that you should pay attention to. They are on our website. We also have some specific questions for the IO psychology statement of purpose. But just generally, we are looking for you to answer the following questions. What are your career goals and how will a graduate degree from Elmhurst University help you to achieve them? So if you need a general framework, that is sort of what we're looking for in the statement of purpose. It's that intention. And then we do ask for at least 2 letters of recommendation. Now, there are, I think, a couple of things to consider here. We do prefer for at least one of the letters to be from an academic reference because you are applying for grad school. We are trying to get a holistic review of not just your professional background, but your academic background. We want to ensure that the program is going to be a good fit. academically and professionally. So we do prefer for at least one of the recommendations to come from some form of academic reference, be it a professor, an advisor, a mentor, someone from your previous institution or current institution. We will take professional references as well, though. So if you've been out of school for some time, we of course will take recommendations from colleagues, supervisors, directors, etc. With the letters of recommendation, there's actually going to be a section when you submit the initial application, you will gain access to what we call the Graduate Application Center, which is essentially an application status portal. This is where you're going to be able to upload things like the statement of purpose. And there's also going to be a section where you can submit recommenders, and you'll be prompted to put in the names and contact information for those recommenders. When you input that information, our system will then send them an email that has a recommendation form where they can attach their letter and send it back over to Elmhurst University. The last thing that we technically ask for in terms of materials is going to be an up-to-date professional resume. And then if our program director or admission counselors need any additional materials, such as a license or any sort of test scores, we will ask for that as well. And you should be able to upload them to the portal, pending we don't need some form of an official document. Now, once you have submitted your application and all the necessary materials, you will interview typically with your graduate program of interest, the program director. So once we get all of your materials, your admission counselor will reach out to you and send you that interview invitation, and you'll just follow those instructions accordingly. And then depending on the program, once your interview has been conducted, we will get you an admission decision within 2 to 3 to 5 business days. As far as international applicants are concerned, there are a couple of additional steps that you have to take, a couple of additional materials that we ask for. You can find that information on the International Graduate Admission page. Specifically, we look for a credit evaluation if your degree has been conferred outside of the United States, and if you're coming from a non-English speaking country, we do look for a proof of English proficiency. So more details will be on that page listed right there. And when in doubt, you can always email your direct admission counselor if you have any questions about the admission application process. And then once we get to the point of admission, we get to the next stage of the process, which is sort of the enrollment process. And this is where we do things like help you secure financial aid. We help you get registered for courses, just sort of get settled in your program, do all the things that you need to do in order to feel ready to go upon that first day of class. So the very first step that we have you take is if you decide that, yes, I'm admitted and yes, I want to do this program, I'm committing, we ask for a $200 tuition deposit, and that does secure your place in your cohort or in your program, right? There are a limited number of seats in certain graduate programs. So if you know for a fact that you are planning on attending Elmhurst University, the sooner that you can get your deposit in, the better, just to ensure that you are getting that seat and keeping that seat throughout the entirety of the enrollment process, right? And that $200 tuition deposit is also what allows us to clear you for registration and officially move you to a student status. Now, depending on when you are applying or what term you're applying for, registration occurs in different windows. We currently have spring semester registration open, so the spring of 2026. We are doing registration for those courses now. Registration for fall of 2026 will not occur until March at the earliest. So if you are applying for fall now, it's great to be super early. And if you've submitted your tuition deposit, again, great to be super early. You won't have to worry about registration officially until March when we start that registration window. So once you've registered for classes, we really can then provide you with your bill or your balance for the semester, and you can review different financial aid payment options. We're going to discuss obviously more of those financial aid and payment options, things like payment plans, graduate assistantships, etc. But once you've registered for classes, that's when you will officially be able to see your semester balance. It typically takes a couple of weeks, or depending on when you register, you should be able to see that shortly. And then when it comes to the programs, they typically all host some form of orientation, whether it's in person or online, just for you to get to know your fellow classmates, the people that are going to be in your cohort, the faculty, program directors, etc. So information will be sent to you about that prior to the orientation and semester start. And the last step in the registration enrollment 5 Easy Steps checklist is to officially start those classes. And our spring semester will begin on February 2nd. for the spring of 2026. And then our fall semester will begin. I don't remember the date off the top of my head. Bill?
August 26th, I believe it is this year, if I
Yeah,
recall correctly.
gotcha. Yeah, so lots of time
Yeah.
until the fall
Mhm.
semester, but that's when we'll officially get started there.
Yeah. Couple things too before we move on to our next screen here. I just want to let you know the tuition deposit is not a separate fee. It actually goes right toward your tuition fees there. So don't think of that as a separate application fee because it's not. It's actually going right to the tuition charge. Another thing to note here too is you can actually see your financial aid award letter prior to registering for those courses there, as long as you've completed the financial aid, and we'll talk a little bit in that on the next screen there. You won't actually see your bill for your courses until you're actually registered for the courses there. So hope that clears up just a couple of things there. All right, so I'm going to take over here. I'm going to talk a little bit about the financial aid aspect and different ways that you can finance your graduate education here at Elmhurst University. I have a number of different things listed here. Some of them I'll go into more detail on other screens here. But just in case you ever wanted to go back and take a look at all the different options out there, we do have a specific website, elmhurst.edu /grad aid, and you can look at all the descriptions for these. So as you can see, Elmhurst University offers graduate grants for students. We have a number of different scholarship opportunities. We do have graduate assistantships, but they're very limited. So those graduate assistantships are typically posted on our main website, elmhurst.edu. And then if you scroll down to the bottom of that website and you look at job offers, you would see those assistantships there at that point in time. And students have to be admitted into a particular program to even apply for an assistantship. And also note that some assistantships are only available for students enrolled in specific graduate programs. And all of that information will be on the job description when you're applying for an assistantship. We also have a Graduate Studies Legacy Scholarship. So that is for students who had their mother, father, sister, brother, grandparents, uncle, anyone close relationship to you that went to Elmhurst University for either their undergrad or their graduate program. So if that applies to you, let us know and we can get a scholarship applied to you for that. Typically, it's about $2,000 a year, so it's a really nice scholarship. In addition, we also have an alumni free course voucher program. So let's say that you completed your undergrad here with us at Elmhurst University. You will be entitled to your first course for free in your graduate program. So many of our courses have a cost of $9.20 a semester hour, and most of those courses are 3 semester hours in length, except for IO, which is a 4 semester hour program. So with that in mind, your first course voucher would be, if you're looking at the MBA program, a value of $2,760. So it's a very, very nice thing that we offer our alumni. And that also applies to if you completed a graduate program here at Elmhurst and you're coming back for a second one, we can give you your first course voucher for that second graduate program as well too. And then we have departmental scholarships as well for specific programs, and those would be awarded to you at the time of admission. So basically, the program director makes the determination that you'd be eligible for a scholarship, and then we would submit a scholarship letter out to you, letting you know that you're eligible for that particular scholarship. And then we'll talk a little bit more about loans in more detail on the next couple screens here. All right, so first thing first, you have to do the FAFSA. So that is done through studentaid.gov. It takes about 20 minutes or so to do it, so it's not a big time commitment there. I do recommend that students have their taxes with them, your tax form and some of your financial information with you as well, such as banking account information, things like that. I do want to let you know that as far as the taxes go, you don't have to manually put that information in there anymore. The FAFSA, when you're filling out the FAFSA, it will actually pull directly from the IRS website that information. So that's nice because in years past, it would take a lot longer to complete the FAFSA because you had to enter that in all manually there. You do need to complete the FAFSA once a year. Right now, it is actually open for this spring semester and also for next fall as well too. So when you go into the FAFSA, you're going to have to select the award year that you're looking to that corresponds with your admission term that you're looking to get into. So keep that in mind there when you are completing that. And if you have any information or if you have any questions regarding the tuition, we do have our website here, elmhurst.edu/grad tuition. That will point you to that. But I do want to let you know most of our part-time programs have the same tuition value of $9.20 a semester hour outside of our education programs that have a different amount there. Quick question here. Do you have to wait to be admitted, accepted before? No, you do not. You can start the application for financial aid prior to you being admitted into the program. That's a great question. All right, so let's talk a little bit about grants. So just so everyone is aware, there's no federal grants, no state grants available for graduate students, unfortunately. We do actually offer a grant from our own funds here at Elmhurst University directly to our students because there's no availability for federal or state grants. So what we do is we take a look at your financial aid results from your FAFSA, and then from that result, we can determine if you're going to be eligible for a graduate grant. So some students may not be eligible for it, but the students that are may receive anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 per year, depending on their need that we receive from the financial aid FAFSA that you filled out there. That is nothing that you have to pay back. You do need to complete the FAFSA for the next year, though, to determine if you're eligible for your second year of your graduate program. Okay, so the majority of your finances are going to be financed, or I'm sorry, the majority of your tuition is going to be financed by the loan. So the nice thing about all of our part-time programs is this max loan amount that you're seeing here of $20,500 per year is going to be more than enough to help you finance your education for our part-time programs. So you're not going to have to look into any additional loan options there. And the 20,500 is for each year as well too. And when we post that to your account, we split it by semester. So you'll receive 10,250 in the fall and then 10,250 in the spring. One thing to note, especially with our MBA program, is that program particularly has courses in what we call the J term, which is an interim term between the fall and spring. And then it also has courses in the summer as well too. But when financial aid is posted, financial aid only posts in the fall and the spring. So you would have to hold on some extra funds left over to help you cover that cost for that J term course or that summer term course, because we bill for those courses in January and summer, but financial aid only posts in fall and spring. And if you have any questions about that while you're going through the program, just make sure to reach out to me or anyone else in Student Financial Services, and they can assist you with that as well too. The graduate loans that you receive for your program are unsubsidized. So what that means is while you don't have to make payments on those loans while you're in school, the interest does accrue while you are enrolled. So keep that in mind there. What you're borrowing out, interest is accruing for each month. And the interest only starts accruing once you actually start that particular term. So once you start the fall term, that's when the loan actually posts to your account. And then once you start the spring term, that's when that loan actually posts to your account for the spring. So that's something that's nice. We have a full-time student. Oh, yes. If you are a full-time student, we do have another breakout session for that. So if we want to go ahead and get that particular student in that breakout session.
Do you mean full-time as in like the full-time MBA?
I believe, yeah, that's a good question. Let's see.
Gotcha.
Full-time MBA.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. No, you're not. You're in the right one there.
Yeah.
One thing to know though about that full-time MBA program is the 20,500 that you receive is per year.
Mhm.
So in that case, you may go above and beyond the 20,500. So that's when I said our part-time MBA and our part-time IO, those students don't need to have additional aid for that. But if you're interested in the MBA part full-time, talk
Mhm.
with me and I can talk with you about how you would receive additional information as far as loans for that program.
Yeah.
Um, so the interest rate in this loan program is 7.94%. It does change every July. So the 7.94% is for students who are starting this spring who have started last fall. If you are starting in the fall of 26, you'll have a different interest rate, and that typically posts in July there. Another thing to note with these loans is there's no credit check, but you do have to complete the FAFSA course, and there's a couple additional steps for it to receive it on your account. You need to complete a master promissory note and loan entrance counseling. Those are both done at studentaid.gov. And then in addition, once you receive those loans there, you'll receive that award letter from us here at Elmhurst University. And then you have to go on to what we call our student portal and our self-service system and actually accept those loans in our student portal there. We also offer payment plans for our students. So we understand that sometimes students may not want to borrow out loans. So we do have an option for that. And what's nice is we bill on a semester basis. So for the fall and the spring terms, we can actually break that tuition amount into 5 monthly installments for you. And there is no additional charge for doing that if you follow a couple rules. One, make sure that you sign up for an auto pay plan. So that way you know on the 15th of each month that you'll be automatically make payment for that particular month there. And then also avoid paying by a credit card because there is a processing charge for that. What you would want to do is pay by ACH, which is just taking your checkbook out, you put your routing number in there and your account number, and then you can avoid any type of payment fee that way.
Mhm.
We also have a number of students who use tuition reimbursement from their companies. So to help those students, we do have a tuition reimbursement payment plan. Now, if you want to use this particular payment plan, you do have to submit a letter of eligibility from your employer to either myself, Carrie, or Student Financial Services to get that started for you. And we need a letter for each and every semester or term that you're planning on using your company's reimbursement plan there. There's a $25 fee for being in this payment plan. And the reason for that is it delays your tuition amount until 6 weeks after the end of the semester. That way you can show your employers your grades, and then they pay you, and then you pay us. Now you will have to pay that $25 fee on the first payment of the term. So let's say if you're starting in the fall, your first payment would be August 15th. So that $25 would be due. And then in addition, we do have a student fee that is charged in the fall and spring of $300. So those would be due right away, but your tuition, which is the bulk of your charges, are delayed until 6 weeks after that semester.
Yeah. And I wanted to add, there is also, so for programs that have a summer course, there are a couple that take courses over the summer. There is a payment plan for the summer term specifically, just because it is a bit of a longer term. It's
Mhm.
8 weeks, 8 to 12 weeks, so 2 to 3 months. We
Yep.
typically offer a 3 month plan, free installment plan for the summer term specifically. So for MBA,
Yep.
That's one program that does have at least one mandatory summer course. You do have that option for the summer. There is
Yeah.
not a payment plan for the January term.
Yeah, because J term is such a short term, being a month, we cannot have a payment plan for that, unfortunately. Thanks, Gary.
For sure.
All right, so I wanted to give you guys an example of how financial aid works, coupled with tuition there. So our mascot Victor here is planning on taking off his costume and getting serious and going back to school. So he's doing the MBA program, and he knows that for his first semester, he's going to be taking 2 courses. Each one of those courses is 3 semester hours, and he knows each semester hour costs $920. So he's aware that with tuition and his student fee, his cost is going to be $5,820 before he looks into financial aid for the fall semester. So let's see how that breaks out with his financial aid. So after his financial aid posts to his account, he actually doesn't have anything to pay out of his pocket to Elmhurst University. And the reason for that is he received a graduate grant of $1,000 because he qualified for it based on his FAFSA. He also took out the full amount of loans that he's eligible for the fall term, $10,250. I do want to let you guys know that $10,250, you'll see a smaller amount when it posts to your account because there's a 1% origination fee. So typically, actually, he'll see like 10,225 or so. But just for these purposes here, I kept the numbers straight. So his total aid is 11,250. So when we do the math, we take the 5,820 that he was charged for tuition fees, minus out his grant and loan, he has a credit of 5,430. But remember, as I had mentioned before, he is going to have a course in the J term for sure because he's an MBA student. So he wants to hold on to $2,760 of that 5,430 to help him cover that J term cost. And then his spring semester will be the exact same tuition charge, exact same financial aid as well too. And he'll want to do the exact same thing of holding on to $2,760 of that 5,430 that he gets also in the spring semester to help him cover the course for the summer there. Outside of that, as far as the credits, you can use those for any other additional schooling expenses that you may have, such as books and things like that there. So, but that is it as far as the financial aid and admission process goes. If you have any further questions, you can always reach out to me. You can call our general line there. And then if we get to this other screen here, you'll see specific addresses and phone numbers for, I'm sorry, actually emails there, but we also do have phone numbers as well too, for each one of our programs there. So I work with all of our counselors here on the graduate side, and I will assist you with any financial aid questions and enrollment issues. And then in addition, Carrie Ostergaard is our senior graduate admission counselor for our education programs, our MBA programs, and our industrial organizational psychology program, and also our executive coaching certificate that we are launching this spring. Carrie Bohan is our health care counselor. So she works with all of our healthcare programs there, and our Master of Public Health as well. And then Jim Faring is our technology master. So he works with our CIT students, project management, supply chain, and data science there. But any one of us would be able to assist you with any questions or concerns that you may have.